Hello everyone, it's Infinity Gamer here, and you've caught me in a bit of a busy time, but I'm going to run you through September's releases nonetheless. So the busy time is because I've got a tournament in like 19 days, and I am organising it and participating in it. I'm not refereeing it because A, I'm not that good at rules, but also because I want to play as well and be part of the action. This means that I am in panic mode about getting everything ready. I actually have started a video that's kind of like a road to Terradiso, which is the tournament. But I've also done a list today of everything that needs to happen, and it is overwhelmingly long. So I'm currently doing things like gluing magnets to bases so that I can transport everything safely to the event. I knocked the head off my tick belang in the last game I played, so I've glued that successfully back on, but sadly also took off like some of his face coloring and shoulder pad at the same time. Oh, he lost those in the drop. So I'm going to have to repaint that that's just going to go on the list of things to do one day. At the same time, I'm also assembling the last of my models, having not even finished my lists. But that's all by the by. Let's run through some September releases for you. And the one that we're going to start with is the one that I'm least familiar with. And that's the Warcrow Beyond the Winds of the North, Winds from the North pack. I don't play Warcrow. I did do the tester when the Kickstarter came live. I actually quite liked the game mechanic back then, but haven't really followed it since. And this is the first models. I've actually like the final production models. What I do know about this is that they are, I think what I've read online is that the Corvus Belli team have switched using Cyocast to focus on Cyocast production for Warcrow. And then the metal and the hard plastic that we've seen on the Wrecker and things like that looks epic. I'm not going to lie. A million times better than Cyocast. Is actually being used, in Infinity. So what we have here are some Warcrow minis. This is all very familiar. So this deck here, obviously you've got the English version on that side, and there's the Spanish version on that side. Great artwork, fantastic mechanics here. So very like Aristea in the fact that the dice mean like attack bonuses and things like that. If you're playing Aristea, a lot of what you see on those cards will be quite familiar. And then we've got the models themselves. Some of these models are out, not because Corvus Belli have done a bad job of packing them, but because this is my third attempt at this video. What went wrong, you may ask? Well, lots of things. The battery died on one of the cameras. You can tell I'm using two in the first recording, and then one of my microphones died in the second recording. And then I gave up a couple of days because things sucked. But with the Cyocast here, I've seen some stuff online, so I'm not going to try and sugarcoat this just because mine look really good. Some people have seen some like not amazing Cyocasts here, and I think one of the key things, and you may just see a little bit there, which for me I'd be okay with, but I can see how someone who's receiving this and expects like really top-notch finishings probably won't be happy with that sort of flashing on the fur, which means that when you cut it out, you're likely to take some detail out of the fur. Obviously, things like what's in the boot there, not too bad, quite easy to remove without losing detail. And then otherwise, like for this mini, I'm okay with it, but we also appreciate that everyone does have different standards. So I'm okay. Like I've had a look through quite a few of the minis that I've received here, and I like the quality of them, but I also like the detail. So I wanted to step away from talking about the Cyocast, which generally is the talking point when anyone receives Cyocast minis, and just talk about the design. So looking at the minis themselves, like you can see that the poses, the sculpts, like that is an epic pose. All of these are epic. And I like this. I like the fact that with Warcrow, the models themselves just look so good standalone. So if you can get through the Cyocast, if you can get the paint on them and make them look half as good as these, then I think you're onto an absolute winner. Are you playing Warcrow? Are you excited for this box? Like, tell me all about it. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what's going on. Should I do more content on Warcrow? Should I actually be focus? I do have a huge soft spot for fantasy. I definitely read more fantasy, or used to at least, than I... Not even going to apologize for that. As part of the mad rush to do a million things, I'm also 3D printing bases and line of fire arcs ready for the tournament, and have already run into some issues. So I'm likely to dip in and out. I know it's not professional, but not professional. I do this because I enjoy doing this. And some of you watch it because you enjoy watching it. And I'm hobbying. I'm doing the hobby right now. Not amazingly, because well, I'm trying to do too many things at once, and I can barely do one thing well at once. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Mukhtar. So this model is the Red Fury one for Hack-Islam. It's a great pose. Now, I'm not going to take this one apart because we can actually see from an unboxing perspective everything that you want to from this angle here. It is a 3-part mini, right arm, right leg, and main torso all as one, and then left arm, left leg are the next bits. I love that. I love it when Corvus Belli design a mini so that there's the minimum amount of things that can go wrong in terms of gluing them together, the least amount of fiddly bits. There's a model in this that has a bit of fiddliness to it, but not the Mukhtar. What do we know about the Mukhtar? Well, we know that the Mukhtar is from Hack-Islam. It has a great profile in terms of there are 5 of them. I was just trying to see what sectorials it was potentially part of, but I couldn't see that here on Human Sphere, not with a quick scan. But 6-2 movement, which I think is quite, I always like for a lot of units that are specialists or are going to be doing missions for me. And this one is a really good candidate for that type of role in a list that I would build because it's got forward deployment plus 4 inches, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you've then got 6-inch move on top of that, you can actually go quite far. It does have mimetism -3. So the only downside of this one is that it is, it's got mimetism as protection, but it doesn't have something like camo. Oh, it's an important base. I'm not having much luck with my 3D printing at the moment, and it typically is the way that when I'm trying to rush stuff, that's when things go really wrong. So might only end up with anything here. Anyway, Medikit Boxer +3 is the profile that stuck out to me when I was researching this beforehand. 31.0 SWC, the viral rifle one is good because it doesn't have any specialist elements within the profile natively itself. You kind of have to look at the doctor, the forward observer, the hacker, if you want to be using this in a specialist, like button booping, objective grabbing type role. If you're using it as like an attack piece, then I think the viral rifle and the nanopulsar could be quite good, or the Red Fury with the multispectral visor. I do like the Doctor version just because that +3 can be quite useful in a pinch, but it depends on your playstyle. I've also talked to loads of players where they don't take like doctors, paramedics, or anything like that. They basically just go, you're wasting orders, bringing things back up. I'm the opposite end of the spectrum. I look at that and go, but I might spend an order bringing it back, but if that's then going to cost if it's a good ARO piece and my enemy has had to spend 3 or 4 orders to take it down and then I bring it back up, then I see that as the equivalent of taking orders away from them because I'm sucking orders out of their action pool or what they intend to do and slowing them down from getting the mission. So different schools of thought, both are right, both are great. But I would probably be going with the medic version of that. If you're playing the Mukhtar, if you're playing Hack-Islam, jump in the comments and let me know how you really like it, how you use it, and different strategies that you think could be useful for someone who's reading this and going, that profile's interesting, I've seen the new model, I'm keen to learn more, what is it? That's the Mukhtar, part of the September releases. I am also very aware that it's no longer September and I'm doing this, but unfortunately that's just an indication as to like how busy everything is at the moment. Operator Samza, this Freelance Operator Samza with plasma rifle, this one confused the pants off me. First up, model. Oh, I'm so in love with this sculpt that picking up of the Tiger Soldier, I think it is, or not Tiger Soldier, that's Yujing. Tiger with a AIGH, there goes another couple of faces that will never see the light of day, is so dynamic. And surprisingly, unboxing this one, even though you've probably seen it all over the place because the thing is about doing something a week late is that content's then everywhere around it. Mixed material mini. We have metal for the Freelance Operator Samza, and then the Tiger Creature is Cyocast, which is good. I like that balance. I do like the mix, and I also like that because obviously with what they've done with the pose, the arms for the Samza are quite skinny, and so if that was then a metal mini, I'd be worried about like knocking it, or it'd be quite prone to that. So I think this is done very intelligently, is mixing the weight of the mini, the weight of the materials, and putting them in an appropriate place. We're going to see that somewhere else later, and we saw that on Torchlight, where they did the backpacks, which not super necessary for that to be light, but nice that they're reducing weight and using Cyocast in some areas. So for those of you that like metal minis, this one should tick your boxes. In terms of the unit itself, the confusion actually lay there, because the box, you might just be able to make that out from holding that well in its in focus. It says 012 on it, has 012 on there, not in 012 for reinforcements as far as I could see at all. It's in NA2. All of them apart from JSA, which is obviously becoming its own faction and has its own reinforcements that are going to be talked about in a bit because they're amazing. But this is a lovely sculpt. I do love it. If it were an O12, or if it's going to be an O12, then I will absolutely be using it because I love a plasma rifle. I'm not playing reinforcements at the moment, but this one's cool. It's got the extra keywords. I did bring up some bits of it. Mimetism -3, extra keyword, specialist operative, super jump, plasma rifle. It's 26 points, which I think is great for all of that. You know, like super jump and mimetism and specialist operative, so it can come in a reinforcements mission and potentially do some mission stuff. But then a plasma rifle is just brutal. I love plasma rifles because I love having them. I hate facing them, but you know, you can't have it all your own way all the time. Oh, a little bit of a slip of units. Then we've got the Ratnik. This is another model that surprised me. You'd think that after all these years of experiencing Corvus Belli minis, I shouldn't be so easily surprised as I am. But this surprised me because it's an S5 unit profile. And yet, what Corvus Belli have been doing with S5 minis, that sounds like another place to go, is doing them all in Sirecast. This is mixed material. So if you have been missing heavy, chunky tag-like stuff, and you kind of lament the death or the existence of really big boy chunks, then this is your model. It has the legs, the arms, and some elements of the main body are metal, and then the backpack, shoulder pads, and guns, including the trench hammer that's very coolly wielded in 2 hands across it, are then Sirecast. So that is mixed. Now again, I looked over the Sirecast for this mini. My one, really good, but is a lottery with Sirecast, and I don't know that everyone would have received the same quality. Talking about the profile, oh, what's going on here? All right. It's half the bed just sliding around the place. I'm going to end up with 1 base at the end of this print run. Probably should stop it, but it's also only a small print run. Models. So 4/4 move when it's in normal mode. It's a headquarters troop. It's got the CC16 with that fantastic trench hammer, BS13, PH14. So really good like stat line for attack, and only 50 points or 47 points. Very easy to be taking. I like this. I think if I was playing Ariadne, that would make it into my lists on purpose. And not just because it's got like AP Spitfire +1 burst, Panzerfaust +1 burst, which I like that combination of the two, because the Panzerfaust is really good against other tags or ARO pieces at distance. And then the AP Spitfire is better when you're doing aggressive. Then there's the heavy rocket launcher +1 burst, which we're seeing in a few places at the moment, which I quite like. And then obviously the trench hammer's quite cool. There's an AP heavy pistol on the AP Spitfire version, so that's basically just getting AP kind of everywhere. And that's 50 points. In between the two, 3-point difference, I would find it very difficult to decide which one to have. I probably would be going for the AP Spitfire one, I think, just so that I can move it up, be more aggressive, just in theory, again, not looking at anything else in context. But for an S5, good price, really cool loadout there. Yeah, I like it. I'd be taking it, I think, if I played Ariadne. Then we get second to last set of minis. It's the JSA Reinforcements Pack, which I think everyone's stoked about JSA at the moment. Like, the fact that they're going to become their own faction is super cool. I mean, I've seen some comments that are basically like, you know, Corvus Belli are mad if they think that, you know, something as small as JSA could con Pano and break away from Yujing and do all of that. Who knows? Like, this is all about subterfuge, politics, you know, the game within a game within Infinity. And so I wouldn't necessarily rule anything out. It's all right. I'm just going to stop that print because it's turned into an absolute horror show. We'll figure that out later. So we've got combination of materials, not mixed material minis in here. Everything that's metal stays metal, and then everything that's Sirecast stays Sirecast. Oh my word, I had it. The Dayukai is the Sirecast mini. This is one where like the Sirecast material isn't epic, and I think it would have probably been better had this been hard plastic, to be fair. I don't know where the cutoffs or what the decision making is from Corvus Belli side around like what is hard plastic and what ends up being Sirecast. So I'm not sure what criteria it needs to meet in order to do one or two. But I think the reason for it, you might notice it actually on the, if I remember, I'll put the Reinforcements Pack Alpha, is that flag detail. There's kind of like some moustaches also, like there's some little engravings. I should be able to show you here. Just down there. And I think had it been a hard plastic, some of that would have been crisper than Cyrocast, which doesn't always love detail at the same level. But I'm excited to get this assembled because yes, I am going to assemble it and I am going to be playing JSA for N5 because I am fully on the N5 Soundtrap bandwagon and loving it. What do we get in here? So you've got the Sohai, two Sohais, one with a Pulsar and an AP Shock CC weapon. And yep, some interesting stuff coming out with the stats that Dice Gods Wargaming shared on Facebook recently, which I'm going to try and do a video on, as well as everything else. SMG and AP Shock CC weapon. Those both are really cool poses. Then you get the Kyosho Hacker, the combi rifle, Genbutai with Red Fury, and then a Genbutai Paramedic, and obviously the Dai UK. We'll look at the profiles separately because that's going to come under that quick start rules and the Soundtrap video, because there's a couple of new things in this. So while we've got reinforcements for M4 and the iteration that exists now, we're basically in the sunset of that. So I could rattle off the reinforcements profiles that you're seeing there for M4, but we're pretty much, as far as I think, is like a month away from M5 dropping, and half of that meaning nothing. So probably better to wait for the video where we talk through some of those M5 Soundtrap profiles in a bit more detail, because some of these, I believe, feature in that. I think I had a quick look today while at work, and I think they were in there. But again, it was a really quick look. And then we get finally to something that I'm excited for, and this is where the hobbying is going to take over to a degree. While I talk a little bit about Torchlight and lead units. So here are some models that coincidentally I did a video on, basically about me getting them ready, prepped and primed. But I need to assemble this Wave Rider because she has been featuring in pretty much every single one of my Torchlight lists. And for good reason. She is epic. So there are 3 profiles for the Wave Rider, and what I'd love to say, I struggle to figure out which one to take. I don't. I pretty much have only tried 2 of them, and even that is overselling the second profile, because I've actually taken one of those profiles every time apart from one. And those profiles are the... Just going to turn that printer off before it explodes. All right, seamlessly back. The profile that I've been taking that I have absolutely fallen in love with is the Killer Hacker device version. Now I run the Wave Rider pretty much exclusively in a Silver Star core. And I find it quite easy to make that pure because once we've got the Wave Rider in there, which has the Silver Star keyword, I'm generally taking 1 or 2 Hellblazers. I'm generally taking 1 Silver Star, which is controversial. So when I talk to other O12 players in Discord, that's the one where people are like, why are you wasting the points on that? There's often very good reason. And then I sometimes take the Prime, which makes it mixed, but I have been taking Sonya in a couple of recent missions because in preparation for my tournament, I feel comfortable that I can do most of the missions with either of the lists that I'm currently workshopping. And so what I've basically tailored them to is my opponent to a degree. And so I've got one that is anti-heavy infantry, and that's where I changed the Wave Rider up from the Killer Hacker device version to the Oblivion +1 burst version with the SMG, so this is the cheaper one of the 2. And then my other one is like an anti-stealth, or like kind of like an anti-combined Hack Islam, even a Steel Phalanx like this, but where there's lots of mimetism. Now I don't have a ton of MSV in that list, but I've got more in that list than I have in my other list. But I've also got Sonya because her albedo, if I'm against something where I feel like there's going to be good, strong MSV aero pieces, then I might take that list just so that she can potentially walk out in front of that, could potentially pick off some non-MSV stuff that might be standing up just to reduce the order pool. If the MSV that's standing up is like an Atalanta and doesn't have Sixth Sense, then I might choose to like actually attack her, because the while she's only got a multi-rifle, she does come with X-Visor. So I'm pretty confident that given enough orders, given pure link team bonuses, maybe a couple of orders, I could probably take out something like Atalanta with Sonia. No, it's not amazing odds, but you know, if she's basically not able to shoot back really, then it's probably my best odds. Because if I walk anything else in front of her, then it's gonna die. Because that Atalanta is pretty epic. So that's the Wave Rider. So that's why I'm really excited for that Torchlight expansion pack. Because I've been playing her every time I've played Torchlight. I've had to proxy her with something else. Then the other two units that we've got in that are also units that I have tried. I've done them as wildcards in the like Fire Team, Silver Star link, and generally if I've got a Prime or something in there, so it's going to be mixed anyway, then I might throw a Kludger in there. I like Kludgers. I take the Doctor version, relatively cheap, 24 points, has mimetism. What I'm also looking for in all of these is the 6-2 move, because the Hellblazers have 6-2, Silver Stars have 6-2, Prime has 6-4, I think. Wave Rider's got 6-2. And so then having the Kludgers, what we're basically trying to do is keep them all in the same mobility. Off the top of my head, I'm actually just double check. I think Sonia's got 6-2 as well. I'm just checking if I can do it quickly. Because to me, that's like a key part of actually having them together. Yeah, 6-2. So that's a very mobile fire team for me. I actually use it quite aggressively, which often means, and you know, not giving too much in terms of strategy away here, but I will often have a lieutenant in there sometimes, or I'll have a Raven Eye like hidden elsewhere. But then Sonia brings the NCO order, or does she? Or I have been taking the NCO version, and so that then means I can use the orders in that link team, and then I've got tactical awareness on the Silver Star Rover, tactical awareness on the Prime if I'm taking it. So it ends up with a lot of movement and mobility, which then lends itself to actually going there and getting stuff done. And that's again why I've often taken the Killer Hacker Wave Rider, is because I actually just need her there to be countering any hackers around the table. That's everything I'm going to say about the September releases. I realise I've waffled on a little bit from the Wave Rider, and there was a lot to go through. September was actually a busy month for Corvus Belli. I hope you've enjoyed that video. Apologies that it was so waffly, and I'm going to end this one and basically start filming another because everything's happening with M5. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video.